Live. Okay, hey, what's going on, everybody? Got Nabil with me again. What's going on, Nabil?
What up?
James couldn't be with us again. He was fine. We've confirmed he was fine after he had to drop off last time.
He is still
Uh,
with us, just not with us.
yes, he was with us. I actually yesterday, like right around this time, like most of Santa Cruz County lost power, like 65,000 people. So I'm very much hoping that that doesn't happen again. So it was a freak thing, but yeah, good thing we weren't recording on Tuesday. How you doing, Nabil? What's going on? Where are you at in the move?
All right, all right. So finally, I mean, technically there's like two more items left in San Francisco, but I am full time with two new roommates who I have a pretty good history with. Though there has been a war over the thermostat as of late.
Oh.
Um, but I don't pay the bills, so I don't have a say.
Yeah, I mean, it's always weird too, though, when you live with a couple, like you're outnumbered 2 to 1,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
their vote really should only count as one.
Yeah, even when they birth you, it's mostly felt that they can go two against one. So
I said I love you, Erica and Joe, if you can hear me. Like they're great.
yeah,
um,
but other than that, yeah, I mean, it's I just like was it now that I'm like completely out, it's been really easy to kind of figure out what my next steps are, and I'm doing some like budgeting of like should I keep my stuff and take a moving truck or do I just like buy brand new furniture? And I think I'm leaning to the latter, except I would have loved to have like some sort of fantasy win to help with the funding, but nope.
dude, yeah. Hey, I need to win. I'm in left in two leagues. We'll get to that in a little bit later. One of them has a lot of money on the line, because I gotta pay out for Splatty. Like I gotta try to like hold on, like I just set that cash aside, but it definitely
Right.
it looks nice sitting in your bank account.
I'm
Uh,
the same way. I'm the like commissioner of my work league, and
by the way, you are one of the handful of people who still haven't paid for Splatty, just to throw you, not to throw you under the bus, but
I swear I've been.
well,
Well,
yeah,
okay,
you
I'll pay you.
haven't. Like here's
Okay, I'll pay.
don't worry, but like actually, if you're watching on YouTube, there is a dues page I just clicked on, so I can't keep track. I know I've talked to a couple. Let's see, we got Devin,
Okay,
we've
so
got
I'm not the only one. I
Deal,
don't
we've
feel as bad.
got James also
I
has.
love all the hosts.
So yeah, not a huge deal, guys.
I thought
I know you're good.
you were paid us for this, right? Like, isn't that just
No, no, no. But yeah, before we get into anything, there was a lot of news in the sports world today that some of it great, honestly. I've been thinking a lot about, and I didn't even text you this in the list. I've been thinking a lot about like what we want to do with the podcast when the fantasy football season's over. Like I'd love to just kind of turn it into sports podcasts. Like we'll talk to James later. Like I'd love to just like debrief Warriors games and do like 15-20 minute recaps, that type of stuff. But Major League Baseball today officially is going to recognize the Negro Leagues as a major league, and that is long, long overdue.
yeah,
So some of the all-time greats like Satchel Paige, his career numbers are going to get boosted up, and you're going to see that clearly he's one of the best pitchers of all time. Satchel Paige famously didn't actually enter the major leagues until he was in his 40s and still made multiple All-Star teams. But now all of his numbers from the Negro Leagues are going to count as major league games. And guess what? Because they let him play in the white leagues, they were the major leagues. Like this is absolutely the right move by Major League Baseball.
yeah,
And I just want to make sure that that was like filming a podcast about any type of sport. I think it's necessary to recognize when something important and good happens.
yeah,
I don't know if we,
absolutely.
yeah. So just want to make sure we throw a shout out to Major League Baseball for finally making the right move.
Making a right move.
Yeah, making a right move. Apparently, there was like a commission in like 1969. There was five white dudes who
Nice.
got together to decide on what counted as old major leagues, and they didn't even consider the Negro leagues, which is, I mean, it was the 60s, so you would think maybe, but no. And anyway,
No, I mean,
they finally made the right call. So
no.
good on Major League Baseball. I just wanted to say that. The other news that is a couple days old at this point. I want to hear your, Nabil, your unadulterated thoughts on the Lamar Jackson cramp situation.
I mean, like, part of me is like, to me, I think it's just people want something to talk about in sports. And it's funny though, because he was like, oh, I just had to deal with cramps, and people are all about this poop gate. And I mean, I guess, can it not be both? Can you not have some cramps right in the, well, I guess craps was not the worst mistake there, but like right in the lower gut? Like, I feel like that's the same thing. Maybe you just needed to poop or get a little squirt out. You never know, man. Whatever had to loosen them up to help them get the dub.
Loosen up. Yeah. The best version I've heard is Lamar went for two.
That's funny. Love it.
Yeah, he wanted to make sure that the Browns went to the Super Bowl, so I
These are
the
also all
only reason it's
the
weird to
jokes
me
you
is
love.
like, what's that?
These are all your kind of favorite jokes.
Oh yeah,
I love them all.
dude, poop's funny. Everybody poops.
Everybody
Everyone poops.
poops.
Like
Amen. Preach.
everybody poops. The thing that it makes it actually worth talking about to me is like in the post game interview, he specifically said like he didn't have a Paul Pierce situation, and Paul Pierce famously, I think it was the '08 NBA Finals, left the court. There was a theory for years that Paul Pierce pooped his pants, and then he had said no, like he denied it, and then just last year or in the 2019 finals, I think so, a year and a half ago at this
He
point,
admitted it, right?
he admitted it. Yeah, and
Yeah.
because I don't know why, but like it shouldn't be embarrassing that you had to take a dump. Now, Paul Pierce might have actually shit himself, and so I get why maybe he wasn't like super keen on like trying, because they took him out in a wheelchair, right? At least Lamar, we saw him waddling to the bathroom. So
Yeah.
he did not have a Paul Pierce situation. Like he did not shit himself on national TV, but like he had to poop. Dude, if you had to go, you gotta get like we've all been there.
You know, it's so funny with like professional sports, though. I guess I figure to like dive in and really think about this. Like, you don't often see them leave to go use the restroom,
Mm-mm.
but like, I mean, at least what jerseys were the Ravens wearing? Or were they purple top, white bottom? Or
Um,
do they do the
they
black
were on
bottom
the
now?
road, so they were in their black pants, I think.
Oh, okay. Because, like, I don't know. Did you ever see? I think it was like 2 years ago, the Florida player who, like, he
You're right.
very clearly shit himself.
So
Went through his white pants, and you just saw this. You
it
just, and the
happens.
worst is you saw it like really small, and it just kept growing. It just, oh, so I
As it
totally
starts
get it.
smearing around, just
Yeah.
like getting all in there. And
I mean,
this is for all you people who are watching on YouTube, not just listening. Just smear it nice and good.
I'm gonna
You
find
know,
it. I'm gonna send it to you
get
while we're
that butter
talking.
knife going and get all parts of the bread. Um, yeah, like actually there is I don't know if you listen to or read Pablo Torre. He's on ESPN.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He, he
He's a friend of the Dan Le Batard show.
He is. Yeah, I love
Yeah.
Pablo Torre. And he brought on a good friend and local guy, Dave Fleming. Fleming does the San Francisco Giants broadcasts. He actually does a lot of national stuff as well for college football. He did the A's, I think just the division series against the Astros. I don't remember if he did the wild card series against the Sox either. I think he just did the Astros series, but Dave Fleming also great. And Fleming told this story, and I can't remember where the player was, but about a center who pooped himself. Like and you should go back and listen to the whole story. But I'm gonna spoil if you skip the next like 30 seconds, we don't want to get spoiled. But basically, like the trainer had to tell the quarterback to stop licking his fingers.
Oh,
Because the center had some gastrointestinal distress, and the quarterback apparently didn't notice, which I don't know how you don't notice that. Like I don't know. Like I don't know. Um, if you ever put on football pads, like it's a bitch to get on. But like, and if you've played football, like the center, like you're up in their grill, So I don't know. I
yeah.
have no
That's why.
idea.
Wait, did you hear about this? Tom Brady in the center for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I guess the guy just like naturally has a sweaty gooch really out there in the swamp, and has to put a towel so that
He makes
Tom
it,
Brady can
yeah.
make sure that he doesn't get like the sweat all over the ball to affect his his throw.
Yeah. Tom Brady makes him wear a diaper. They talked about it on, I can't remember if it was a Monday night game or it was some primetime game that they talked about it like at length, how like Tom Brady like basically makes him like stuff his underwear with a towel. Yeah. Because you get in there nice and deep like when you're under center.
Oh, 100%.
Anyway, I hope Lamar, like, hope you realize that it's okay that you had to take a dump. You played your butt off. You played your butt off. An amazing Monday Night Football game. Unfortunately, it did not matter in my matchup with Drew at all. I would have loved it, or sorry, with Drew, with Travis, or for Drew's matchup with Spencer. But like Travis said, I do wish that Justin Tucker kick had actually impacted our matchup, because then I would have at least been in it. That would have been nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's look at those real quick. I want to get
you'll need to check out the YouTube I just sent you.
Okay.
In the
did you text it to me or what?
No, it's in the Zoom chat. You'll have to
Zoom chat?
Yeah, you can live reaction it after this. Let's continue it there.
That's funny that just looking at my team too, that I don't think Jones is actually, like, it's funny he's got the COVID-19 designation. I don't think that's accurate. I don't think he has COVID. I think he's just going on the IR. It doesn't matter because I'm just playing for 5th place next week and not going to play him either. Like, I'm not going to add anyone, but looking at the matchup with me and Travis, I mean, it really does just come down to, like, dude, Deontay Johnson was 100% a part of Pittsburgh's game plan. He just can't catch the damn ball. DeAndre Washington. I feel stupid.
Yeah, I think so.
DeAndre Washington comes in to take his place, and on a beautiful seam route gets a touchdown early, in like early second quarter, mid second quarter, which, like, I mean, maybe the route combo would have been different, but like Johnson, that should have been Deontay Johnson getting that touchdown. Obviously, I would have, 14 points is a lot to ask for. But man, it was just so sad that, like, he didn't even make, like, to see him like on the bench and just basically like, yeah, he's
Dwayne. It's Dwayne Washington.
Dwayne? Okay. My apologies.
No, wait, James Washington.
James Washington. Who's DeAndre Washington?
I don't know, but who's Dwayne Washington? He was first in the Wikipedia. I blame you because
anyway, that's I mean, GG Travis, like, the Parker injury too, like that made it a lot closer than it probably should have been.
Oh, 100%. Because if you look, like, even if you got any kind of, let's say, average production out of him, 132, we were commenting, and we can get to it on the next game, but that would have at least somewhat been competitive in the if he was to go up against, Drew. But
yeah, exactly.
Just makes that loss different. I do want to
take the time to point out as well that I needed Johnson to score, like, I think it was 6.5 points in a game that is in a league for me that is half point PPR.
Yeah.
And it was my opponent had no one left. I just had Deontay Johnson, and he gets sub. So now I'm looking at, I was in 3 playoff games last week, lost all 3. I'm in 5 leagues. I made the playoffs in all 5. Lost 3 times last week, and then I had 2 buys. So we're hoping to get my first playoff win this week. But when the Steelers, like, when Big Ben threw that interception with 7 minutes and 11 seconds left, I was like, all right, that's fine. They'll get a stop at some point. There's 7 minutes left. They'll get the ball back. And Buffalo ran out the goddamn clock with 7 minutes and 11 seconds left. But, like, good on the Bills. They're fun.
Dude, I am starting to think, hold up. So Pittsburgh Steelers are good. Their defense is exceptional. I just think it's interesting because everyone was just like, oh, are they going to be this undefeated team? And I think they're just showing that there are other teams that are definitely capable who maybe have a bad rep. Like, I feel like no one's giving. I mean, I'm on the Josh Allen isn't necessarily the greatest quarterback ever, but like him and the Bills, like they're playing well, and I do think they're the kind that if it starts to go bad, it goes bad quick, and we saw that last year in the playoffs, right? They came out hot, and the second he came out in the second half and just was choking. Did you watch that game? The one where, like, he went and only had to hold on to the ball, but he panicked and he went to go for a lateral and he either threw it out of bounds or I forget. It was something
Don't.
ridiculous. But
So
that
yeah.
was his or I don't know, rookie, but he's still young. So I'm sure it's just like one of those, like he panicked and he felt like the game was on his shoulders.
So unfortunately for my football watching, and under normal circumstances, I do a lot of work on Sundays during the latter half of the football season. My dad runs the youth basketball league in town, and I basically supervise one of the two gyms. So I miss out on a lot of football. So there's a very good chance I just missed that game completely, or
Yeah.
got like watched like highlights like on the sidelines like when I could, because I'm often refereeing games too. So I don't remember exactly, which is why I was super stoked when the schedule came out last year. The Niners played on a Saturday. Like I was like, oh, I'm going. Like I'm not gonna like might as well just like, and like
Yeah.
now looking back, like that's the last like major sporting event I went to, was the Niners game against the Vikings, and super glad I did that because Kevin and I went together and we had an absolute blast. Helps when you win to have
Yeah,
more fun in a
definitely.
game, but like I probably didn't get to see that. But I do remember that did they lose to the Chiefs, or did they get beat by
No,
someone?
that was Houston.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, that was like a good comeback from Watson, which talking about another team that's taking a really random turn after Bill O'Brien leaving. You would think like maybe things could get better, but a team is just dysfunctional and they don't have
Mhm.
draft picks. But
Yeah.
talking about dysfunctional, that's not what the next matchup
No,
that
no,
we're
no.
recapping
It's
was.
not dysfunctional. I mean, Drew, your Bills got the big win, but you put up 134 in the regular season, like you should hope to win. You put up 134 in the playoffs, you probably should still win, but like it's definitely a little less for sure. But man, Spencer's team is just on fire. I've talked all year about how the schedule would work out for Drew. He gets 23 from Wilson, 18 from Metcalf, which is honestly like not that great against the Jets, especially sucks since they only played 2.5 quarters, both
Right.
of these two. And 30 burgers from Taylor and basically from Diggs as well, and you don't get the win. Like that's rough.
Yeah, and it's interesting because, I think the one thing to always forget is like if you're playing a really crappy team towards the end of the season and your player is on a team that is destined for playoffs, like you need to be wary of the fact that they might get pulled if games become blowouts because later
Yeah.
in the season towards playoffs, it's like I'm looking for those competitive games because the second, especially if you're looking at a quarterback and a running back or a quarterback and a wide receiver, they're not going to throw as much because they need to burn down that clock because they don't want anyone to get injured. So you might as well just grind it out. But yeah, I mean, it kind of sucks because 134 definitely enough to come out of the last matchup that we discussed as
Yeah,
a
it would have.
winner. However, he just, yeah, like he's getting Spencer, and so far Spencer has been maybe not necessarily benefiting from my Tom Brady trade, but all his players are hitting at the right moment, are getting hot at the right moment. That Michael Thomas trade is going to be really good. Tyreek Hill is it's what's weird about the Chiefs is like it's weird every time you look at the box score. Kelsey with the touchdown, Hill with the touchdown, almost always. And like
Yeah.
if you can have that amount of consistency from a player, it's
Yeah, let's take
incredible.
a look at Hill. Like, when's the last time he hasn't scored? So, okay, he did not score a touchdown in week 13. He did not score a touchdown in weeks 5 and 6. But other than that, like all but 3 games, he's found the end zone.
And
Like,
he averages above one touchdown a
yeah,
game. Like I think it's probably like
14,
one point
14
something.
touchdowns through, yeah, just over one touchdown per game. Like, that's, yeah,
Like
more
even but like if you can
touchdowns.
get that, just the fact that your floor is almost and
Yeah.
I'm looking his lowest so his lowest week was against Buffalo and it was 5 points. But and or he might have had some rushing and I can't see it on here. But
No,
it's
his
just
3 catches for 20 yards is that's 2 points and that's three. So he must have had,
yeah,
yeah,
5 points.
he had 5 rushing yards.
Yeah.
Or
It's just I guess I could look at the score. He must have rushed for
no,
five.
but just like I mean, you 3 catches for like that's three, that's two. So he had 5 rushing, unless he got.
He must have rushed for 5 yards. But either way, it's like I think Spencer's getting hot at the right time. And
He is.
no better than when you have to, you know, he has a pretty tough matchup next week.
Well, and we haven't even mentioned like Derrick Henry, who literally like has been, I think, like the number one player in like on fantasy championship rosters the last 2 years. Like looks like could be like another fantasy winner. Like again, like getting, actually not a very good week in week 13, but like a 20, a 38, and a 36 in like 3 of the 4 last weeks, like 6 touchdowns. Like Detroit, like should be, he should just absolutely have his way with Detroit. And then week 16 championship week, like, against Green Bay could be tough, but that game also just could be a ton of scoring. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Special teams getting hot at the right moment, like, and he's moving on in his first year in the league to the semifinals. And that's like, you got to just set, hats off to Spence for drafting a great team. We should actually pull that up because I can't remember exactly when. Like, when did it turn into us drafting for Spencer? He drafted Tyreek. He kept Henry, or he traded for Henry in the offseason. DeAndre Swift is turning into a great, like, now it's turning into not a great but a good option, like, as a backup. He's still not going to start him, but Ty is getting hot. Do you follow Matthew Berry on Twitter?
I do not. Well, I do not use the Twitter.
So
So no, but I think he posts everything on his Instagram as well.
there was a tweet that he said that T.Y. Hilton was tearing up the consolation brackets across fantasy leagues. Across the country, T.Y. Hilton's tearing up fantasy league consolation brackets. Except for
Good
us,
old Spencer.
Will Spencer, who didn't even have T.Y. Hilton in the starting lineup. He left points on the board by not starting Ty.
Yeah. That I
But
mean,
why would you start T.Y. Hilton over Michael Thomas, Tyreek Hill, or Robbie Anderson, who's been having, very, very consistent perform, like, yeah, 6 and a 9 in there, but pretty damn consistent over the last few weeks. 19 by and a 17, like, so Spencer has options too. Then Evan Ingram, which, didn't start him. How's Ingram been doing?
Ingram has not been
Not
good,
been doing hot the
unfortunately.
last couple of weeks, but had a good run. He's not the one getting hot. It's Ebron who he started. Debo, if he could stay healthy, is fine. Matt Ryan, he traded away. Duke Johnson, But this is where it started to turn into us drafting for him, is my point. Like, this is all unspent. As much as, like,
Yeah, no, his team. I think his core, because I like even looked and it was like I think he grabbed Jerick McKinnon, and then after Jerick McKinnon, we started drafting after that because I think there was a point where we weren't sure what that was.
No, I remember talking to Spencer and saying that he really didn't like that he did not want Baker, but like he was like, we started drafting for him sort of early on. Like, so we talk a lot about this, and I know this is the point Hunter likes to make, as it's true. Like, whoever, like, if you can't make the draft, then we kind of do it by committee. Oftentimes that team turns out to be pretty damn good. But like, I kind of just have to tip my cap to Spencer. Like, he drafted a good team, and we kind of filled it in for him. The Baltimore defense, um, ended up. I don't think he even. I don't think he
He
has.
also made the right moves, right? Like, and that I think is a bigger point. Like in the end, it doesn't really especially in our league, it doesn't really matter who you draft. Like, sure, you can have a bad draft, but I don't think you can essentially win the league just based off your draft alone.
No, no, no.
Not especially in ours, right? So it's like, no, good on him. He made the right trades. He made the right moves. Waiver pickups. I think it's great. He's been involved in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to just make the point that as much as I do think it is beneficial to have like everyone kind of pitch in on the back half of your draft, like, that is not why he had a good season. Like, Spencer absolutely manufactured this season on his own. He scored a 208 in week 12. Like, his lowest output is a 70, and that's kind of an outlier because other than that, he's been over 110 every time. Like, Spencer, like, great job. Welcome to the league. You've made a splash for sure, even if things don't go your way the next couple weeks.
I mean, but now talking about like another guy who's kind of getting unlucky. He's got that hot hand going in. I'm already moving to the next matchup.
Yeah.
So he's going against Ryan, number 1 in the league, projected at 142. Spencer's right there at 140. Like, that's gonna be a damn close matchup. And like, if I'm Ryan, I'm kind of scared because out of everyone, I would not want to be going against Spencer because, I got the other one pulled up too, and the projections are much lower for the Travis matchup. So, you know, I feel like you could pretty much say anyone who leaves this matchup definitely has the advantage in the finals. Not necessarily looking at any projections, but if you could take down one of the Goliaths, woof, you can certainly.
This will probably be whoever wins this will probably be projected to win by Yahoo in the next round.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Spencer, like Brady's playing Atlanta, and you got to think that, just they're trying to, like, Brady in December is going to be good. They're on the road, but they're in a dome. I honestly, what the hell, that with Brady, why can't he hit open receivers downfield this year? Like, I mean, he literally sailed one over Chris Godwin.
He's old.
And if he had hit Chris Godwin in the hands, I at least I'm a little closer when Deontay Johnson, got benched. Like that definitely pissed me off a little bit. But what are you gonna do? But Spencer just got options. Like the cool thing about his team is, like, any one of these guys, except for his kicker and defense, like any one of these, I could see busting for a 25 plus game. Like Derrick Henry's done it a bunch. Tyreek Hill's done it a bunch. Like Michael Thomas, maybe not this year as much, but like he's done it a bunch. Like Brady could easily pass for 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. Like he's got a ton of like explosive firepower, which is the same reason that makes Ryan's team so good, right? Like Mahomes, Hopkins, Jones, Kelsey, like all those guys stand out to me as like they could go for 30.
This game is really interesting when you kind of break it down, right? Because Ryan is almost hoping every touchdown goes to Kelsey, right? Because at this point now, Spencer has this kind of built-in defense by having Hill, so that if Patrick Mahomes throws a touchdown, there's a good chance it could be to Hill. But looking at Spencer and his team in the matchups that he happens to have for each of his players, Tom Brady in a dome, Michael Thomas in a dome, Tyreek Hill in a dome, Derrick Henry in what looks like a rainy game outside at home, which generally means a run game if it's bad weather. Then you're right back to Tonyan, who's hit or miss. I guess you have Robinson against a stout defense. So that's one that maybe the projection's high. Otherwise, like all of it, Swift too, right? So you have another rain game for a running back. I think this can be a pretty good weekend for Spencer to just load up points, because anytime you got a receiver, so with Michael Thomas, right, like they're going to be trying to keep up with Kansas City, so you're going to have to throw. So I think a lot of it is good. Hopkins, I have him in actually my other 2 leagues. His biggest thing is consistency. And so, while 20 is great and in PPR, and he definitely could get, I think 10 might be more or less his floor for a matchup like this, but like Ryan better hope he gets the good Hopkins game, because I think Spencer, I mean, maybe lucked out is not the right word, but all his matchups seem really ideal, because then you got Indy against Houston. I mean, maybe that's another one I'd look at a defense elsewhere, but like they are in division and they're almost always competitive. Watson, I feel like recently has been forced to do whatever he can to win games, and so that causes more fumbles and interceptions. And so,
I mean, looking at Hopkins though, like in the last 5 weeks, he's averaging 10 targets a game. He's only scored 2 touchdowns. Like, I don't believe that like guys are due ever, but like it feels like he's getting fed the ball and he just has gotten a little unlucky with not finding the end zone.
Yeah.
And like if if Hopkins he scored 22 points last week without a touchdown. Like,
right.
If Hopkins scores, this could be I mean, like Ryan's team, like either team also has a chance to, like either Ryan or Spencer's team has a chance to just blow the other one out because they put up like a 160. Like it's possible that it's like it's not even close. But there's also a great chance that it just is a really fun game to watch. Obviously, handful of 10 a.m. games, a couple of different 1 o'clock starts with Akers and with Hopkins, but it's almost like I just want to watch the KC New Orleans game just to watch this fantasy matchup. Like we already talked about Mahomes, Kelsey, and then obviously, we don't like for Spencer. It's kind of weird, like Tyreek Hill getting fed the ball from Mahomes. Like I still don't score points for Ryan, but like he's also got Butker and like I I don't know. Like it could, this could be one of those games that in a dome ends up being, both teams score somewhere in the 30s to 40s, and there's just lots of points to go around for everybody, and it's going to be a lot riding on that matchup in fantasy. So I can't wait to see how this turns out. Someone from Aptos, someone from Santa Cruz is going to the Splatty Bowl, and either Ryan or Spencer is going to have a chance to make it. The second one from Aptos High to get their name on the Splatty Keg.
Oh yeah. Should we move to the other Santa Cruiser?
Yeah, the Santa Cruz. I mean, there are 5 of us now who grew up in Santa Cruz in the league, so it's we should have a good chunk of the success. Kevin, obviously we talked a little bit about Josh Allen. Looking at his team, though, Mostert I don't think is.
No, they were
play right. Like that's.
Yahoo's been really bad on their designations as of late. I mean, case in point was that COVID with a broken finger kind of thing.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, Mostert.
But he's got Sanders a slot in there, so like that he'll be fine there. It's not like his projection's actually going to go up by 5 points once he moves Sanders. And then Elliott, I think he'll probably roll. Like Elliott, is he playing? Like what's the news?
No, I think he is. I think he is a play. I mean, I have him in the league, so I have to play him. So I think it's just like a soft tissue issue or something like that. I mean, man, if Kevin can get that game, just like a normal game for Elliott, as opposed to like just only in the double digits. So over some from week 17 to 14 now, he's only gone double digits twice in a PPR league
from 7 to 14
as a running back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like,
yeah, and has not scored a rushing touchdown since October. And again, I don't think that guys are ever due, but like you got to think that like they want to get him the ball when they're in close, especially when he hasn't scored in that long,
home against San Francisco, which has holes. So
yeah,
I definitely get that.
Something that Pat McAfee has talked about a couple times. Like so when he was on that Colts team, that was like he always says like we should have got undefeated, but they basically like gave up the last couple games. Like, or on the flip side, when you're not going to make the playoffs, like everyone kind of knows like if there's guys who need to hit like certain numbers and whatever, like
for contracts and stuff.
Like, I think I have heard this. Like a touchdown
clause. He probably does, dude, but he's probably not.
Right, and it's probably so he's got 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. He's got 5 rushing scores. 3 games left. Like I wouldn't doubt if it's probably around like 8 touchdowns.
Something like I was gonna say like double digits is probably a bonus.
Yeah, maybe double digits, but like guys know that, and Zeke has a big contract, obviously, but like I don't know the details of it, but my guess is they're gonna try to. There's gonna be guys who are gonna want to say, no, like we got to get Zeke. We got to feed him a bit. Like he's been kind of screwed by injuries around him and his own injuries this year. Like you'd think that like they'd be excited to get him the ball, especially like there's a damn good chance that there's an interception or a fumble or something that like gives them field position like inside the 5-yard line, because that's actually one other thing I want to talk. Like I'm so fucking tired of watching Nick Mullins play football. Like why like sorry, I meant to talk about that earlier, but like why?
I think we're kind of screwed just based on the options, right? So like what you have to do is you have to trust that Shanahan has seen him in practice, and that just means CJ's looking worse, which is like
that's terrifying. It's terrifying to think.
We both have said that like not even with Jimmy G have we really been all that competent at that position. I mean, are they average? Sure, but he's been playing really bad. I don't really know. I feel like honestly we're so deflated this season that like,
Well, no, yeah, and the team's been now they got kicked out of Santa Clara, like for better for worse. Like they're in a hotel bubble. Like they had to basically run the table to have any chance at making the playoffs. Like they don't have their starting quarterback. They don't have reigning rookie of the year on the defensive side of the ball. Like the Niners are not a team that's going to win a title this year. Like they know that and when you've been like to the mountaintop, like you've been to the Super Bowl, and then like you just know you can tell like your team is not as good.
yeah, that's
Like
hard.
it's like even if they play their ass off, like okay, and like they sneak in, we'll get the seventh seed, and they're 8-8, and then they'd probably go play like either like Green Bay or New Orleans, like that's a really tough matchup. And then what? Like you win, great, woohoo! Now you got to play the other of Green Bay or New Orleans, like just to try to it's the road is so tough when and like that like next year's gonna be better when everyone's healthy, right? With Kittle back, with Garoppolo back, like as much as like Garoppolo's coming back next year, he just like he is, and Kittle will be back, and the defense will be healthier, and we'll have a couple new young rookies, and Debo and Ayuk and like the receiving core hopefully be healthier. The running backs will like it's like why like this year sucks. Like you can't but I'm really tired of watching Nick Mullins make that face on the sideline after he turns the ball over. And you know what I'm talking about, right? Like he makes
Hold on.
this
Yeah.
face like, oh, I can't believe I did that. And it's like, dude, like you're really good at football, obviously, to be a quarterback in the NFL. Like you clearly are an amazing athlete, and just to get here is incredible. But like
Yeah, I mean,
but you've reached your peak. Like this is it. You are a backup quarterback. That
yeah,
is
I think that's your tell is like how it looks like when you finally come in. I know like my biggest problem is, what I'm having a hard time is like, this is about the time that I determine based on the record and overall like watching the games. I'm like, I'm not like glued to Niners games anymore, just because
no.
it's just like
I turned
one
it
of
off.
those. It's just, yeah.
Not that I
I
turned it
mean,
off. I
still
flipped the
still supporting,
I
but
flipped
it's
off the
like,
red zone for the afternoon slate last week because I watched red zone in the morning, was super excited to see the Niners play in a winnable game, and by halftime I was done.
yeah, I just saw the box scores and I just like shake my head. I'm like, all right, I'm done following football today.
That was a long aside.
Back to fantasy football,
Because
as
we
we
haven't
like
talked
to
about the
say.
fantasy side of the matchup against Kevin. Really, for me, looking at it, just kind of looking at how the schedule and how it breaks down, looks like Kevin's going to go with the Pittsburgh defense, and Travis is going to have Tyler Boyd. I'm always rooting for something to come, like for it to be close and come down to the wire. So hopefully, the Boyd Pittsburgh matchup on Monday night gives us something to kind of watch and be interested in how it's going to shake down. Oh, and also Juju is playing on Monday, so Travis could be down by a lot going into Monday, but with a big chance to come back. Like if Juju gets a couple touchdowns or even just one, but a bunch of yards, like that could be a big factor in swinging, because Juju has that ability to just like run the deep go route, and almost like the old classic Jordy Nelson play that used to help me a bunch. They're just like, oh, he's just gone, and Big Ben has no problem being like, yep, I'm gonna huck it 80 yards downfield and hope you catch it. So that could be fun.
I think what's interesting about this matchup is the complete, I guess, inverse of their two skill positions, right?
Mhm.
Like, I don't know if I was Kevin, if I'd feel stoked having Dobbins and Mostert, but yes, I guess he has Sanders that he'll insert there. But then, going up against Cook and Montgomery, who has looked good as of late, he is going against Minnesota, which is difficult.
Playing
But
against each
again,
other is interesting.
oh yeah, I guess that'll be kind of just fun just to kind of track that. But then you look at the wide receivers, right? So, comparing Devontae Adams, who's been a cheat code. It's like I have Aaron Rodgers in the league, and I'm like, oh, cool. Like, I have like 4 touchdowns. I wonder who they're thrown to, and it's like almost always
Look,
Devontae Adams, and like Allen Robinson, who honestly I think is vastly underrated in the league. And then going against Juju, as you mentioned, and Tyler Boyd, it's hard. It's hard to get necessarily excited about that side winning, but you kind of look at it and it all kind of balances out at the end. And so, It should be good. I mean, Miami's going against New England. New England's like turnover prone as hell, and I think they've been outperforming probably their projections. Um, yeah, 10, 14, 14, 5, 6, 8, 23, 15. Like there are a lot of double digit scores over the last like 8 weeks. So like
For who?
for Miami. So, that
Yeah, the
projection
Miami,
there is
yeah.
low.
And the Miami D, I remember hearing a stat. They because they picked off Mahomes twice in the first quarter. The Miami defense is the only defense this season to force a turnover in every game.
Yeah. So
Like,
that's probably an under projected game right there. So
oh yeah,
I
I
don't
mean,
know. I think this one's gonna be close. Do I think anyone's gonna blow the score or like blow the roof off with their scores? No, I imagine probably winner leaves with 132. I just pulled that out of my ass and really just looked at Kevin's score. So,
it's going to be
but
very touchdown dependent. I mean, a great example is Dobbins last week for Baltimore. Like played a higher percentage of snaps, got more touches than who's the other running back in Baltimore. My mind,
Ingram.
but Ingram got the touchdowns. But Dobbins is a great play if he score. Like I feel like this matchup in particular is going to be very touchdown dependent. Like it's not going to be one with a bulk of yards. Um, Adams, if he gets those targets inside 10 yards, that like it's cheat code, like we've talked about. Like he could put up 40 points, but like Juju could easily have two long touchdown like catch and runs. Like Kyler Murray, like does Kyler Murray scramble for a couple touchdowns? Like there's a lot of, and same thing with Josh Allen, like the quarterback position, like for Kevin, like there's a lot that could happen touchdown wise. Like there's a lot of big play potential. Should be a fun semifinal. I'm really looking forward to it. Interesting again that Christian Kirk is not in the starting lineup currently for Travis, despite him being kind of
Very
the
adamant.
core. But like, it doesn't make sense really, like with the projections that he's got, like to slide him in maybe instead of Boyd, but like do that stack with Murray. Like I'm curious if that's if Travis makes that switch at all.
What
Um,
time's that game? It's a Sunday 1 o'clock. I mean, he might have, let's see.
yeah, like I mean
No,
maybe
he's not gonna have. I mean, he might be able to make that decision kind of last minute based on how his 10 o'clock games start to look. Because you sit there with,
just
a few players left. Like if you're willing to take a chance, and you start to see that Kevin's team is maybe put up way more points than you think, and you have to take a shot. Maybe you do, but I mean, I get it. Like looking at his last couple of weeks, he hasn't really performed all that well. But obviously, can't rely on Devin or not Devin, Devontae Parker, and
I do,
it
yeah.
should be interesting.
I do think that ultimately whoever wins this will be the lower projected team next week in the Splatty Bowl, but I think both matchups are very intriguing. And next week we're gonna have an absolutely, like no matter whether it's Spencer or Rocha or whether it's Kevin or Travis, like it's gonna be a very fun Splatty Bowl. Kevin, the only one out of the last four who has a title under his belt. So we can't quite say that there will be a new champion, but no one will climb the mountaintop and get their third this year. Obviously, with Antonio and James both not making it. But I do want to talk about one more matchup since it is a rematch of last year's Splatty Bowl. We got to check out the frame of shame game, Devin versus Antonio. I mean, it's just not good. It's just not good fantasy football. Projections are 104 and 94.
I totally forgot that was my game that somehow I avoided but won at the very end from
Yeah.
week 14. Um, oh yeah, I'm just sorry.
Yeah.
I just reminded myself that I'm not getting a license plate. Sucks to suck, Antonio.
Antonio, who has an empty bench spot, also just want to point that pulling a Drew with an empty bench spot. But yeah, the last place. Well, 104 for Devin, but Matthew Stafford is not going to play. So that one should even be a 0, and he needs to slide someone in at quarterback. I don't know if he does even have a second one on the. He's got. Oh, you got to go with Tua.
2 a time, baby.
2 a time in the last place game. I mean, not like what are you going to lose, right?
I mean, you shoot your shot.
Shoot your shot.
But here's the unfair thing: does Devin even really have a car? Does he drive in New York?
Yeah, I hope not. I mean, he's currently living in California, but but yeah, I mean, display the license plate frame proudly wherever you go.
If you commute, you must attach it to your backpack.
Yeah. um,
I
God,
don't really have any commentary. I'm looking at this team. It's more for fun. I'll probably have more fun watching this game though.
it'll
But
be fun.
I think Devin should have it. I mean, he got really unlucky losing that game last week. Put up the score that typically wins, right? Like a 124 or something.
I didn't even
Um,
remember what it was. Let's take
it
a
was
look.
against me. It was 125. That's like a game. I mean, I honestly just was lucky that Eckler.
And yeah, and Antonio had an 83. Like, yeah,
It's probably going to
Devin
Antonio.
would have beat Hunter. Devin would have beat um let's see, would have beat Kevin. Rocha did the thing at my recommendation of, since Yahoo lets you drop players if they were on your bench even after they played, like there's no reason to have them in your starting lineup if you are in a, like if you have a bye.
Mm-hmm.
So Rocha did yeah, it's just the way that Yahoo's is set up. But like Devin literally would have won a playoff match against either myself or Travis, would have beat Kevin. I don't know. Maybe Kevin would have had a slightly different lineup. Yeah, bad luck. That's kind of the story of Devin's career in Splatty. Like this, that just a case of bad luck. Lots of Qs on the roster here, but I still think he has the better team at this point than Antonio.
And
And yeah, and it's a sad rematch of last year's Splatty Bowl, but it'll be a fun one to follow and to tease you both on the group chat.
so I'm definitely looking forward to that. That's my one thing to look forward to for football, and we can talk shit while we're out on the links.
Absolutely, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Getting a little golf in there. Spring Hill is a fun course. I think you'll like it. It's a fun little muni course. They don't have, you can't book anything online. They do it old school. You just got to call or book your tee time in person. It's family owned. I think you're gonna like it out there, Nabil.
Sweet.
Right.
Look forward to it. Maybe we'll throw some extra bets on or something. We should just be betting the Devin Antonio game as we go through. But
And there's a game tomorrow. Then next week there's Saturday games. And
there's Saturday games this week too.
Are there Saturday games this week?
Yeah, at least
I
unless
think
there's
next week
unless like Yahoo has some mistakes, but Denver seems to be playing on Saturday. Denver and Buffalo.
Okay. Yeah, and I know next week for sure too. But it should be fun. Do you got a bold prediction for us, Nabil? I don't even think about.
The only one I'm gonna do is I'm gonna throw all my support behind Travis. I think my couple years of mocking and making jokes at Travis, I'm gonna rechannel my energy and I'm going for full support, full good juju on Mr. Travis. So
That's funny. I was literally gonna do the same thing. Like I think Travis is a projected underdog. But that I think somehow it works out in his favor.
he's taking it to the Splatty Dome, baby.
Yeah, going all the way. In the other league that I'm in with Kevin, the two of us got the 2 buys. So I'm hoping that I'm playing him in the finals in a different league next week. And I hope that that's the only championship that you're worried about, because my bold prediction is also that Travis is gonna. I mean, like I'm not gonna. If it is Kevin, it's not like it's a bad thing, but also I want to get to 2 titles before anyone else does. So like it's like I feel like
Amen.
Or at least I don't want anyone to get to 3 before I get my second. I don't need, like, if Kevin gets his second, fine, or like if you get your second, fine. Like, but like I don't want anyone to, and like Kevin's good enough to get a third quickly. So yeah, I'm kind of rooting for someone new to get on there, which is why I'll go with Travis. Travis, you know what? Travis would win the Splatty Bowl. I'll one up you. Travis to win the Splatty Bowl is my bold prediction.
I was gonna wait till next week to make that, but yeah, I mean,
I'll go right now. Travis to win it all, to take it down. I feel like he's earned it just after all the shit we've given him, but especially for the last like 16 months.
Amen.
Yeah.
Do it for Burton, baby. Do it for Burton.
If you win it, Travis, we'll put Trey Burton on there as an honorary assistant coach. If you want. Oh yeah, you sent me a chat. There was a YouTube video or something.
All right, do live reaction.
Hold on. I feel like I'm gonna pull it off screen though, so that Kraken's.
This is great because it's also your team, right? The Gators.
Oh yeah, yeah. My parents met at the University of Florida.
Let's see. You're probably gonna start seeing
Yeah,
it too.
so he scored, and then. Oh, Oh, okay, hold on. No, I'm not gonna. I don't want to get like a YouTube copyright strike, so we're not gonna play their video. But we're gonna find the.
You gotta just do a still image, but
Oh man.
what it has to be is there has to be some sort of compression that he had that he just like meant to toot and just squirted. It's funny because when you see him walking on the sideline, it's
Like that's clearly.
that's not mud.
That's not.
That's not mud. Look how clean all their jerseys are. And he walked in clean. So
that's not mud. Is the.
Oh my god, I think I'm gonna puke thinking about it. Couldn't think of leaving on a shittier note, you know. So
let's end it there. Thanks everybody for listening. Nabil, great talking to you as always. Good luck to the 4 of you left in the Splatty Bowl playoffs. Good luck to the 2 of you playing for last place.
For the Gersh.
For the Gersh. Anyway, we'll do it again soon.
Peace.